Hey, everyone in. Let's go. Huddle up on 3. 1, 2, 3. Huddle up.
You all know what you have to do. Remember, no one, and I mean no one, comes into our house and pushes us around. This is your game now, gentlemen.
Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis. Oh, my God. Davis is going to run it all the way back. Auburn's going to win the football game. Auburn's going to win the football game. He ran the missed field goal back. He ran it back 109 yards. They're not going to keep him off the field tonight. Holy cow. Oh, my God. Auburn wins. This could be a sentence that a month ago would sound incomprehensible. From 31 yards, McPherson and Cincinnati is heading to the Super Bowl. He called it again, I'm sure. He walked up and he goes, "Can you believe, Coach? We're going to the Super Bowl."
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
You are looking live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in Huddle Up Podcast. We are live, and we are back this week. Again, no show last week. We appreciate the student of the game hosting us on the simulcast over there as we took Pro Bowl week off. Not everybody gets to play in the Pro Bowl, right? So we figure we might as well take the week off, but we're back. Little different cast of characters. I'll explain that here in just a second, but make sure you are subscribed to us on all podcast platforms and YouTube as well. You get a merchandise over at tpublic.com, and make sure wherever you subscribe to us, you share it with somebody you think might enjoy the show as well. We certainly would appreciate that. Continue to spread the word of the show. Devin joining in with us, and he welcomes Big Mac to the show. Yeah. So if you're with us in the live video, you will see there is no Ernest, there is no Kyle. Matt is with us. Ernest taking some time away from the podcasting game, has some health things he's got to get in check, so we certainly do wish him the best. We'll be back to dunking on him whenever he is able. We certainly will miss that tonight. And Kyle is out in Arizona covering the big game. So we hope to have him jump in here at some point. Not sure if he's going to be able to, but we hope he is having a great week out there. So Matt, how you doing, my friend? Getting ready for the big weekend?
Doing well, getting excited for it. Looking forward to what's ahead this weekend. I think it'll be a good game. I'm excited for all the matchups that we have here. Watched the opening night shenanigans yesterday. Saw the interviews. Looks like everyone's kind of laser focused. So I'm excited to see what Sirianni has in store for the Chiefs on Sunday.
Yeah, should definitely be a good one. We will certainly talk about that here in just a second. And the host of the Five for Fighting on the Huddle Up podcast feed, Mike Bernay, joining us. I know you've been with us a time or two on the weekly show, but how you doing this week, my friend?
We're good. Was going to ask you, but forgot to before we went live. Did you put up the All-Star Game festivities from...
Son of a bitch. Yeah, I will do that. Let me leave it.
Yeah, there it is. Because I was looking and I was like, I don't see the show. I wonder if you put it up. And I was going to text you today, and then things got crazy, but we're good over here. I wish I was able to wear this shirt because I was playing against Matt this week, but unfortunately, that did not go our way. Hopefully the future looks good for the boys in orange and black, but we're here. We're going to talk about Eagle Chefs, so should be a good one.
Yeah, we will get to the big game festivities here in a little bit. If you are following along with us live, please give a like and a share. Get more people in here. Feel free to comment on the show, and we will try our best to answer any questions. I know on Twitter today, Joe asked for us to cover some prop bets. Joe, we will certainly be doing that. So I have a big list that we will be going over here in just a little bit. But before we get to this weekend's game, last week, Tom Brady made a little selfie video on the beach in Florida announcing that he is once again retired. So certainly we can't, I don't think it would be proper to go through this week without mentioning it, the retirement of Tom Brady. I know I touched on it a little bit in my 5 observations this week, but to me, guys, this seems a bit different than last year. I know last year you had all the weirdness with the Schefter tweet that came out, and then he kind of made it sound like it wasn't legit, and then retired like a couple hours later, and it's a big, huge announcement. And then 6 days later was like, you know what? I don't think I'm ready to be done playing football yet, and came back for this season. But the whole year felt weird. It didn't feel like a typical Tom Brady season that we've come to know. And yeah, I mean, I certainly feel like he is done for sure, and we'll be heading to the broadcast booth in 2024. But certainly we can the debate can be, is he the greatest ever? But certainly I think the best of his generation, and I don't know if there's ever going to be a career like Tom Brady's again.
Probably not. It seems funny that he played one more sad year just to kind of spite Adam Schefter, who ruined his retirement speech the last time around. But I'm glad he finally got his moment. I'm also glad, Jim, you used that picture that's on the screen and not the thirst trap that he tweeted out earlier today, despite EJ probably enjoying that and bookmarking that tweet.
It's actually what threw his shoulder out.
Right. I think that it was time. I think that Brady had kind of accomplished everything he probably could. He's set records that probably won't be matched or beat. You can't argue with the results of the seasons that he had, and it's unfortunate that they went out the way they did, because I think that Tom Brady this season was kind of just a shell of himself. And last season you kind of saw the writing on the wall. He still had that playoff win under his belt against the Eagles, and then went out and got the loss the next week. And I think that would have been a fine passing of the torch as opposed to what we saw. I know you liked it, Jim, but the way he went out this year, I think, is probably not the way he envisioned it. But that's kind of what happens sometimes when you give it one more go.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen careers from a lot of players, but especially at the quarterback position, at times go a year or two longer than they should have. I mean, the Cowboys finally getting their one and only win versus Tom Brady, there at the end. But yeah, certainly was not the same. Mike, thoughts on Brady's retirement?
Obviously, Thomas Edward Patrick Petty Brady instead of Bieber Brady, because he decided to be petty to Adam Schefter. Only year I believe that he has a losing record is the last one that he ever plays in. I can't necessarily say that that's on him as much as it is on the lack of a run game. Leonard Fournette was non-existent at points in this season. I don't even know if he was on the roster, it felt like. But it was also one of those things, obviously lost a little bit of the distance on his passes, which kind of made Evans and Godwin not as explosive, and not having a tight end that he trusts for the first time in his career because of no Rob Gronkowski or gone forever Aaron Hernandez. He at least trusted Aaron. He was he was like the one guy that actually trusted Aaron because he wasn't afraid of being killed at the same time. But literally, he doesn't have he finally got a rhythm with Kate Otten, and then obviously the season ends. Obviously, like Matt said, not the way that he was hoping that it would go, especially as a final swan song. I also look at it from the standpoint now. I necessarily don't know that if he was ready to really retire last year. I feel like that was a Giselle call, and he was trying to do what was best for her and the kids and stuff like that. And then, little by little, it started that me being retired isn't going to help the situation. The situation is only going to end the same way regardless. So let me cope with this decision the only way that I know how, which is playing something that he's basically doing his entire life. And almost felt like it was a defense mechanism for Tom. So honestly, the greatest quarterback I got to see play live. I obviously wasn't alive, or I was a infant when Joe Montana was doing his thing. So I would say it's Brady and Manning for me at the era that I'm alive and will remember as the first real era of football that I watched on a weekly basis. So sad to see him go out the way that he did, but thankful to see the career that he had. Will enjoy listening to him as much as I enjoy listening to other people in the commentary booth, because, you know, he can't be worse than some of the other guys we got. So
yeah, I mean, he can't be any worse than Dennis Miller or Jason Witten. So
No.
we can certainly look forward to that. Like you said, he will not be taking that spot. Next season, you'll have the year off, and look forward to that in 2024. Yeah, and that's the thing is you know, to just kind of echo everything that's been said. Devin here in the comments adds to it as well. Just not what we've known Tom Brady to be, and even in I noticed, like in some of like the post game interviews or in press conferences and things like that, like he didn't have the same personality. He didn't have he was not the same person this year, and obviously with everything going on in his personal life, you can certainly understand that. And I think there's a lot of people who are incorrectly stating that had he stayed retired, he'd probably still be married. Look, obviously I don't know either of them personally, but I highly doubt that this one decision for him to return to the game of football for one more year was maybe it was the straw that broke the camel's back. But
it certainly didn't help.
Certainly didn't help for sure. But like
that camel had a lot of weight on it before he even fucking decided to go back to Tampa.
I think saying that they would absolutely still be married had he not returned to football may not be 100% accurate, but certainly wish him you know, hopefully with him and his family and everybody that he can find peace away from the game, at least for this year, and then he'll be back in the broadcast booth. But yeah, I mean, certainly a one of a kind career that we will likely never see again, or at least for a very long time. The only other thing before we get to the big game, this past weekend was the first of the new Pro Bowl festivities, the Pro Bowl games, capped off with the flag football game on Sunday. I caught some of this. I don't know how much you guys were able to catch, but I mean, this is the first time I've watched any bit of the Pro Bowl in a number of years. So at least for the first year, the NFL did its job. They got me to tune in. And I actually kind of like this. Like, I've always been a fan of the home run derby and like that kind of stuff around the MLB All-Star game, the NHL skills competition, the 3-point, the foul shooting contest, all of that with NBA. Like, I don't like All-Star games. Like, they're pointless. I actually thought the flag football game was kind of fun, and a little bit different. I mean, you know, everybody can joke that normally the Pro Bowl was like a flag football game, so at least here it was being literal.
Don't tell that to Sean Taylor.
Well, yeah, R.I.P. But my God, that was the greatest moment in Pro Bowl history. But yeah, I thought it was a fun weekend, and the way I kind of assess these things, because I know a lot of sports fans, regardless of what sport it is, don't always like these sort of events. But I look at the players; they look like they were having fun. So to me, that's the most important thing that counts. Everyone except Josh Jacobs, I believe, he wasn't a huge fan of the event. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't know about any thoughts you guys had.
I missed it on Thursday. I forgot it was on Thursday, so I didn't see it until they re-aired some of the skills stuff then on Sunday before the flag football kicked off. But I enjoyed it. I've always been one to more watch the skills competition and not watch the games at all for MLB, NBA, and NHL. So if they can make it more like a skills game type environment for the entirety of it, then I'll probably be more likely to watch it in its entirety. So I thought some of the stuff was kind of pointless. I could do without the tug of war thing. I could do without some of the like the punt fielding, the tic-tac-toe thing. But
Yeah,
I mean,
I see Zach Martin fielding punts.
I think for what it was and the experiment that they did, it's hopefully just them kind of narrowing down what they want to do with that.
Yeah.
So I think that, as we continue to go on, they'll get to where they need to be.
I agree. I think the revitalization of the Pro Bowl was needed. Kind of feel like it's the same thing with the National Hockey League whenever they went from the 5-on-5 to the 3-on-3, with the divisions, the divisions playing against as a team against each other. I felt like that was a big rejuvenation to the NHL All-Star game. It made it watchable because it looked like the guys were having a lot more fun with it. So I feel like the same thing here. The players seem to have a lot more fun. The fans seem to have a lot more fun. And in a game where we're basically trying to kill each other for 18, 17 weeks out of the year, you add the playoffs as an extra 3 weeks. It's fun to see those guys have a down moment and have some fun. Remember the fact that they're human and stuff like that. So thought it was a fun concept. Hope it continues. I agree with Matt. Some things got to go. Tug of war, offensive lineman trying to field punts. I'm good on that situation. Tyler
Give me
Hunt,
more of the catch, though. I'm
yes,
fine with that. Give me more than just two people
correct,
that are doing the most incredible catch or whatever they wanted to call it.
Also, big fan of Tyler Hundley throwing for like 8 touchdowns for the AFC, and also Derek Carr trolling the absolute hell out of the Las Vegas Raiders.
The Las Vegas Raiders of Oakland fans.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. But yeah, I think we'll see some adjustment on some events, and it'll kind of figure it out, I think, over the next year or so. But this was certainly a step in the right direction. It looked like the fans were having a blast. I don't know if it's going to be in Vegas every year, if they're going to bounce it around. So that'll be something to watch too. Would like to see it bounce around because then, a lot of fans get to enjoy it. But yeah, I did think it was pretty much an enjoyable event, and they will, and we'll see how it adjusts for next season and beyond. But yeah, let's get into it, guys. This Sunday, 6:30 Eastern time kickoff. It is Super Bowl 57. The Eagles, the number 1 seed in the NFC, taking on Kansas City Chiefs, the number 1 seed in the AFC. We will kind of discuss some storylines around the game and all of that before we give our official predictions. But currently, and this is currently, so if you are a degenerate type and will be putting some money on the game itself, currently it sits the Eagles as a 1.5 point favorite. 51 is your over under for this one, but we'll kind of look at it from each side. And let's start with this, guys, and Matt, I'll start with you. Mike, then I'll go to you. The Chiefs will win if blank. Matt, what do you think for the Chiefs to win? What do they have to do?
For the Chiefs to win, I think they need the passing game to really show up. I think that a lot of this is going to hinge upon how healthy Patrick Mahomes is, what that ankle looks like, his mobility and escapability just because of the defensive line and the pass rushers that the Eagles have. So I think that he's going to be needing quick releases. I think they'll need to attack on the screen game. And I think if they can do that and then open up some things vertically as well, then the Chiefs would have a good chance of winning that game.
How about you, Mike? The Chiefs win if what?
The Chiefs win if they force Lane Thomas to have to line up one-on-one against Chris Jones. Lane Johnson coming off the injury did look good in the game, the NFC title game, but also that game was kind of gift wrapped early with the injury to Brock Purdy and then Josh Johnson's concussion, leaving them really with no quarterback option. Not that I think they would have won that game regardless. Let's be very clear about that.
We'll be fair.
But I do believe that the pass rush and even Carlos Dunlap, they have to make the Eagles, and this is something where listening to NFL radio, they brought this point up earlier today. Not a lot of runs in that game, the NFC title game, were to Lane Johnson's side. A lot of it was running the other direction or running towards the middle. If you have to force them to start running that way, you have to take advantage of those situations. I know Nick Sirianni probably isn't going to rush the ball a lot to Lane Johnson's side because of the injury. So you have to attack that in the decision that they decide to run it to that side. You have to attack. You got to get your best pass rusher in that matchup as one-on-one as much as possible, and you have to win that battle then. Obviously, Lane Johnson, all-pro, definitely think he's a great offensive lineman, but a great offensive lineman at 70% is still an offensive lineman at 70% going up against a top-flight pass rusher. So I would say if you're Kansas City, your pass rush has to be on no matter who you are, but if you get that Lane Johnson side, you can get one-on-ones with Jones. I think you have to take advantage of those.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you, Mike. Look, Mahomes and the Chiefs offense are going to do what they do. The Eagles have a really good defense. We've seen that all throughout this season. But every team that has a good or great defense will fall victim to Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and company at some point in the game. Yes, Mike. You're saying that? Yeah, you guys. But yeah, so I think the disruption of the line of scrimmage and in the pocket, test Jalen Hurts and the Eagles' weapons. Like we know this offense is really, really good. I think this is certainly going to be one of the biggest challenges they've faced all season. So disrupt them and don't let that offense get comfortable. I think that's the biggest key for the Chiefs in this game, is to just never let the Eagles offense get comfortable, because if they do, the Chiefs are going to be in big trouble. We've seen it happen to a lot of teams all season. So I think that's the key. That is the key there. Same question, Matt, but the other side, the Eagles will win if what?
For the Eagles to win, I think it all depends on the line of scrimmage. If that offensive line can dominate the way they have against other pass rushes and run stopping teams these past 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I think that you'll see the time of possession controlled. Keeping the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands as much as possible is ideal. So I think if that offensive line can dominate, if the run game can get going the way we've seen it get going in weeks past, then the Eagles can chew up clock and take a lead and stick with it.
Yeah, Mike, same thing. Eagles will win if what?
They win the turnover battle. Forced mistakes. You obviously know Patrick's going to get the ball out of his hands fast. He's not going to sit back there. Did it against Cincinnati. Got it out of his hand as fast as possible. Didn't let Cincinnati really get into the backfield until late in the second half. You saw him scramble that one time to the left, and he kind of grimaced whenever he tried to throw it. So you got to win the turnover battle. You got to make somebody make a mistake. Will it be Patrick Mahomes? Probably not. But getting a fumble from a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster, getting a free ball from a Ronald Jones, and scoring points off of those turnovers is going to be a key here. And I feel like Nick Sirianni is kind of this guy. Blueprint the way that the Bengals played in the first half. I hated the fact that Zach Taylor mismanaged the clock as bad as he did, and we had to settle for 3. If you get the ball in the red zone, you got to take shots at the end zone against this team, because 3s are not going to get you the win. So if they're going to turn the ball over and give you a short field, make it pay as much as possible.
Yeah, I think the Eagles win if their front 4, their front 7 can do the thing they've been doing all season. We know how good Patrick Mahomes is. We know how good Travis Kelce is. We know how how this offense can score if they are given the time to do it. But we've also seen at times this year where the Chiefs have not been what we have come to know this Chiefs team over the last couple years to be. There's been times where they haven't looked as dominant. And not even necessarily against the Bills and the Bengals and stuff like that. I mean, this team struggled against Houston and Indy at points this year. So certainly if you're the Eagles and you're preparing for this game, you're watching what happened in those games to see, what were the trigger points to cause those disruptions and to get the Chiefs to get off their game. And I think that's going to be the battle. And yeah, we've seen them do it against San Francisco. I mean, look, you can talk about backup quarterbacks and third string quarterbacks and fourth string quarterbacks all you want, but nobody else in the league got to them and disrupted them the way that the Eagles did. So even injury aside, the Eagles did things against the 49ers that other teams hadn't done. So I think that's going to be, probably the biggest key for the Eagles is getting that disruption of the Chiefs. All right, Matt, the biggest concern for the Chiefs in this game is what?
It has to be that ankle. I think that, like Mike had alluded to, you saw him grimace when he was forced out of the pocket. And that's one of those injuries that doesn't just heal as quickly as they would have liked it to. And he was playing the next week, so he didn't really have that recovery time that he probably should have had. So to play on it a week later, even then giving you a week off to rest it, almost 2 weeks, still doesn't really give it enough time to be fully healed. And it's not like Patrick Mahomes is one of these quarterbacks that, is going to rush the ball as often as Jalen Hurts is, but he still relies on his escapability, extending the play, letting his receivers, letting Travis Kelce get open down the field so he can make that move. So if he doesn't have that ability to make the guys miss, to scramble around in the backfield to give his receivers some time, then it could be a long day for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I want to go back. Devin did comment on the Eagles will win if they force Mahomes to make mistakes. Absolutely. Because he's going to try to make plays. And if you can make him to make mistakes while he's trying to make those plays, that can certainly go in your favor as well. Mike, the biggest concern for the Chiefs is what?
Well, I mean, I'd be stupid if I didn't say it was the ankle, but because Matt's already gone into length about it, I'll go in a different route here, and it's going to be, what are you going to get from the ground game? Clyde Edwards-Helaire reactivated earlier this week, should play in some type of form in this game. Isaiah Pacheco's kind of been a hit or miss piece for them. One week he looks really good. The next week, Ronald Jones looks like the better running back there. So Andy Reid's got to make a decision here. It's who's going to be the primary ball carrier and stay with that decision. I feel like they're not built to be a three-headed monster, kind of like the Philadelphia Eagles are with Gainwell and Boston Scott and Miles Sanders. I feel like those guys fit the three-headed monster running back persona a lot better than Pacheco, Jones, and Edwards-Helaire. So my concern is going to be, does he try to get too cute with the running back position, trying to keep interchanging people for blocking or to get extras so that Patrick has someone to get the ball too quickly in case something happens?
Yeah, to me, and I've kind of touched on this throughout the year. Not that I ever want to be somebody that's defending the Philadelphia Eagles, so I don't want it to be misconstrued as that. But in the interest of being fair, I've talked all year how, I've had the Eagles at or near the top of my power rankings, and I've defended the fact that they don't get to pick their schedule. And all of that, like that's been the biggest gripe about the Eagles. Oh, they've walked into this, and the biggest concern for the Chiefs is that the Eagles are actually as good as they've looked all season. I mean, certainly it's the ankle. I think that's the number one concern. But to try and look at it from a different point of view, is that's got to be the biggest concern for the Chiefs. What if the Philadelphia Eagles are actually as good, or maybe better than they've looked all year? Because maybe we don't know. Maybe we don't know if they are truly the number one team in the NFC, or if they're just beneficiary of a bad or worse than predicted NFC conference. But if the Eagles are that good, then they're going to cause a lot of problems to this Kansas City team. We're going to have a very close game, as the odds are telling us right now it will be. But yeah, I think to me that has to be the number one concern for the Kansas City Chiefs. Matt, the biggest concern for the Eagles is what?
I mean, similar to the concern for the Chiefs is the health of your quarterback. You know, we saw Jalen go down with the shoulder injury against the Bears. He's been back since. He's played every week, but he hasn't really been asked to do a whole lot. He's made throws when he's had to, but he hasn't had to make a lot of them these last two games against the Niners and against the Giants. It both were just kind of situations where they were more managing the clock than trying to make him, you know, throw the ball as much as he did. So I know that the stat lines for those two games don't look the best for Jalen, and it's mainly because they didn't have to look that great because his team was in control the whole time. So not so much the injury itself, but now that, you know, there is every opportunity and expectation on my end that we're going to have to see the Eagles put up points and match what Kansas City is doing. And if we get into a shootout, is Jalen ready for that? Because he hasn't really been tasked with a shootout type of situation all season. Most of the times where they scored a lot of points, they won big already. And in games where he had a lot of throwing yards, were games that they were more defensive battles than anything else. So is his shoulder ready to take on that load?
Great points. Mike, the Eagles' biggest concern is what?
Tackling.
Okay.
Don't let guys like Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster get the extra yards. They've proven that to be the deadly thing the last 2 weeks of the playoffs. Travis Kelce catching a ball 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage and gaining 8 yards, you know, turning a -3 into a net of +11 because of it. You got to tackle those guys when they give you the opportunity. Again, Cincinnati didn't do that and gave Kelce and Juju and Mecole Hardman, you know, extra yards almost every time they caught the ball. So as sure tackling as you think your team is, tackling is something that's going to have to be crisp in this game, especially because I do expect them to get the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hand as fast as possible, like they did in the Cincinnati game. So the less amount of extra free yards you give them mean he has to stand in that pocket longer, which gives you a chance to get to him.
Yeah, good points. And doing a little drop in here, a face we haven't seen on the show in quite a while, but my brother Sean joining us from the state of Florida. Sean, welcome in. How you doing?
You guys got me?
Yeah.
All right, good. I didn't know if my mic was, I don't know what color light is mute and it's flashing sometimes and sometimes it's not, but I guess we're on. But yeah, things are going well. It was a beautiful day down here. I guess I know you guys probably already touched on TB12, but it's a great day to be retired in Tampa Bay, I guess.
I can only imagine.
Unfortunately, I am not. But Tom is, so.
And I don't know how the beach sand selling business. I saw some people were trying to cash in on that, trying to sell some of the sand from the beach that Brady retired from. But
yeah, you know, I live down here. I get you some. I can't verify he walked on it, but it was in the water that Tom lives on. So I go down. I get you some Tampa Bay water. I'm sure it's technically washed up at Tom's house.
I'll pass on that. But Sean, we were just talking a couple of the storylines and kind of these undercard stories going into the game, and we were on the biggest concern. Were we on the biggest concern for the Eagles, right? Yeah, the Eagles' biggest concern is what, Sean?
Well, I mean, I think the Eagles' biggest concern, at least for me, is the week off. I think you got hot at the right time at the end of the season. You got through one bye week. That went well enough. Everybody got healthy, but now I think for the most part the injuries had kind of worked themselves out of the system, but they hadn't for the Chiefs. And now you have a situation where the Chiefs are able to get healthier. Not that you want to necessarily beat a team because they weren't healthy, even though that's what everybody thinks we did last week. But I feel like that week off, I just hope it doesn't take any wind out of the sails, in that case. But I don't know beyond that there's a lot of concern for me as far as a big issue for the Eagles. The only real concern would be if you struggle to get the run game off the ground early, or if Sirianni decides, like he did in a few games this year, where he should have come out and attacked a weak run defense, and decided to come out somewhat creatively passing the ball 75 to 80% of the time. If whether it's play calling or just lack of effectiveness, if the run game doesn't get going early, I think it becomes a bit of a problem for them, because I think that's what you want to do to the Kansas City Chiefs, is exactly what you did to the 49ers.
Yeah, I think the big concern, if you're Philadelphia, is either the Chiefs' experience in this game or the Eagles' lack thereof becomes like the weight of the moment can be too large for them. There are a few guys on the team that were there 5 years ago, but one of the big storylines, not even just this week, but over the entire postseason and this season, was that this Eagles team is almost unrecognizable from what they were 5 years ago. It is completely changed, and so is this moment going to be too big for them, or is the Chiefs, their experience, they've been here, this is almost old hat to the Chiefs, this is just another Sunday for the Chiefs, that maybe that,
this for the Chiefs is pretty much why they were playing all year. Like this is where they were. This was where they ultimately in their mind were going to be.
Yeah, and so for the Eagles, they're kind of playing with house money a bit. But if things start getting tense, can they rise above the moment? I think that's going to be maybe the biggest concern that they have. But it's going to be wild to watch. A couple things just. Looking towards the post game, the aftermath, and then we will get to our official predictions, and then we'll get to some of the prop bets. But if Kansas City wins, like what does that mean for Andy?
Crossed my
mind. What does that mean for Andy Reid all time? Obviously all that he did with Philly, but now this would be multiple Super Bowls in Kansas City. Like, does he start to be, or maybe he already is to you, but does that start to get him in the conversation of, one of the best coaches of all time? Matt, we'll start with you.
I think he's probably already in that conversation, given the success he had with Philadelphia. The amount of championship games he took the Eagles to, the amount of championship games he's taken the Chiefs to, and getting over that hurdle, winning that Super Bowl. There's not a lot of coaches within history that have, multiple Super Bowl wins beyond, your Belichick's and whatnot. So to have one and then measured with the success of getting to the Super Bowl beyond that a few times, even if you're coming up short, as well as, all the success you've had with two different franchises, I think he's already kind of cemented that. But if there is the win this Sunday, I think that just kind of further builds the case, pads his resume in terms of why he is one of the all-time greats.
How about you, Mike? What do you think?
I'm kind of with Matt. I feel like he's already there. If you don't have him in that conversation, the only thing you care about is Super Bowls, because that's the only real negative that he has is his inability to get out of the NFC title game when he was in Philadelphia. That's really the only blemish. I know the Super Bowl loss after T.O.'s broken leg and stuff like that. That's things that people forget. You use your number one wide receiver is basically playing on a broken leg. So it's one of those things where I feel like he's already should be in the conversation. And if you don't have him in the conversation, feel free to come on here and let's figure out why you don't have him in the conversation. because it takes a lot for a guy to be as successful as he is. Mind you, Bengal fan, I sat through mediocrity with Marvin Lewis for years, and they wouldn't fire
Poor
him.
bastard.
They wouldn't fire him. They kept giving him
Poor
contract
son of a
extensions. Like, it'd be one thing if they were like, "Hey, buddy, your contract's up. We're just not going to redo it." They're like, "No, here's 3 more years."
Yeah.
You know, I would have
You know what?
killed
Just
for.
keep coming back. We
I
like
would
what
have
you're
killed.
doing.
I would have killed for a coach like Andy Reid. And that's what I'm saying. If all you're focusing on here is Super Bowls, obviously Bill Belichick is the guy. Just from what he was able to do, and the Super Bowls that he won. Sure, I get it. But if Andy Reid isn't in the conversation, got a bigger problem here with the way that you're examining your coach's
I think
skill.
you're having the wrong conversation.
Yeah. So I think he's already there, but I think a win kind of puts him there from a media perspective. I think this is where he gets the respect from the Stephen A. Smiths of the world.
Everybody wants that. Sean, your thoughts on Andy Reid's legacy if they can get the win this weekend?
Well, I mean, I've been fighting on the Andy Reid front since before the move to Kansas City, and I mean, God, I can't get Marvin Lewis off my brain now. It was literally
Sorry.
like it's literally like he was walking in, like slapping the owners in the face, and just they're like, "Hey, we really like your attitude, buddy. Like, why don't you stick around? You know, they're like, can we do better?" And someone in the room's like, "Yes, we can do better." And they're like, "I don't think we knew better."
You have very big balls of steel.
Oh, God, the guy must have had something on the GM. He had blackmail something. But Andy Reid, you know, it goes beyond just where you guys were talking. I mean, Andy Reid was a guy that was on the fringe of that conversation before he won a Super Bowl. You know, people, you know, you mentioned the Super Bowl that he lost. Keep in mind, that's not a Super Bowl that he lost, you know, with a bad wide receiver. It's a Super Bowl he lost by 3 points to the guy that, you know, we've already established is probably unquestionably the number one. You know, in a game that going into that very unlike my feeling this year on the Philadelphia Eagles. That was a game where it was literally like Donovan and this team are going to need the game of their lives, and we're probably still going to need some help. And to be honest, we didn't play a flawless game in that, and the script and what Andy was able to do with that offense kept us in that game. But you know, it was one of those things when Andy made it against the 49ers a few years ago, and I was all aboard the big red train. It was get him, because it was always that like, well, yeah, I mean, he has, you know, the 5th most wins or whatever he was at the time. Oh yeah, well, I mean, he did it with 2 teams, and like, yeah, he made the Eagles relevant in a city that hadn't been relevant for a very long time, and it was all these buts, and it was climbing this ladder. But like, for some reason, without that Super Bowl ring, nobody would put him quite into the conversation. Nobody was sure if he was a first ballot Hall of Famer or a Hall of Famer at all, which I thought was ludicrous.
Yeah,
and that ring got him there. But now you're looking at statistics that are starting to pile up. You're looking at things like, not only is he the first coach to go to the Super Bowl with with teams in both conferences, but he's also the first coach to ever win 10 playoff games with 2 different franchises. You know, he's done it with a slew of quarterbacks. You're also looking at a league full of pass first offenses, and use the passing game like a running game, and, you know, get the quarterback creative, moving the pocket around. These are all things that Andy Reid helped kind of bring to the forefront in the NFL. He was in that first line of coaches that really started to get creative and go, you know, if we work within these rules, we can really kind of turn the passing game into a running game and really kind of revolutionize the way, you know, using a guy like Brian Westbrook in space and getting linemen moving around. And he's done it successfully with every year his coordinators are gone, because it's always inventive and it's always exciting. And, you know, his coaching staff shifts every year, and somehow he's always there. You know, despite overcoming family issues and a son who committed suicide. And there was a lot of reasons why he could have walked away at several times. Cities that began to hate him. You know, obviously in Philadelphia, it wasn't so much hatred. It was just kind of like, we felt bad for him. We felt bad for us.
Well, everybody hits the wall. Every great coach hits the wall at some point.
And there's all these negatives that there's a lot of points he could have walked away and said, you know what, I've made my money. I can go be home. I can go do my thing. And he didn't. And now he has an opportunity. Whether he wins this one or not, I don't think there's any reason to keep him out of a conversation. He already has as many Super Bowls as Don Shula, you know, and that's pretty much someone who's always been in that conversation. So, you know, but yeah, I mean, if he wins this one, now all of a sudden he goes from like one of the best to like, is he the best? You know, you start to question like,
Right.
you know, you line him up against Belichick and you go, well, without the Super Bowls, is Belichick still a better coach? You know, and that just kind of changes that. All of a sudden you go from being like, you know, one of the best NBA players of all time to being like, well, is it Kobe? Is it Kobe? Is it Michael?
Kobe,
Is it
Michael?
LeBron?
Is it
You know, you
LeBron?
become one of those kind of figures as far as NFL coaches go.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think any conversation that doesn't have Andy Reid in it is crazy.
Well, and you already see it. One Super Bowl ring. He's in State Farm commercials. He's like, you know, he's kind of, and he's always kind of been this jovial, laughing, you know, kind of fun guy to be around, or so it seemed. And like now the you know, with you know, Pat Mahomes being such a household name, he kind of comes along for the ride, and like the whole country kind of sees that now.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think he's in that conversation. Ryan checks in. He says, "Did I miss the NASCAR talk?" That's
did.
on tomorrow's live show. Right?
Making
Yeah,
a left
just
turn.
log on tomorrow. We'll let you in.
Yeah, like Devin said, they turned left for a long time. There's some wrecks. Now you're caught up. Congratulations. There's the NASCAR talk.
Taylor Hart.
There's 9
That's
different flags.
From like an
Always a
actual
flag
racing
waving.
fan too.
I know, right? That's the best part about that. Real quick thoughts on this, because I know it's already been kind of a discussion. If the Chiefs win, does that already put Mahomes in the top 10 quarterbacks of all time?
Not for me.
I like all time is a lot.
That's
Like,
a,
it's a lot.
That's
It's
a
a lot.
big 2-word phrase. All time.
Yeah. He's arguably the greatest. Well, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks this millennium, for
I think
sure.
if you randomly pulled, like, say, 1,000 football fans of various levels in various cities across the country, I'm not sure if you tally the first place votes, if he gets number one today. I think it's closer than I don't, even with another ring. It depends, because it's always that argument of like, is Dan Marino the greatest of all time? And then there's
Right.
always that person that's like, well, Eli Manning has 2 rings, and then you're like, you're an idiot, you know. And it's like, so I don't know. I think we're in a world now where the Super Bowl ring doesn't make the man as much. Like, people are starting able to see, especially now where quarterbacks are on display. You know, with your Josh Allens of the world, and people are in love with Joe Burrow, and you know, you kind of have these guys up. You know, he may not be there yet, obviously, but I just don't know. I mean, he's going to be the face of the league, and he's probably the best, but I just don't know. He strikes me as an Aaron Rodgers kind of character, where it's like, man, he makes throws no human being should be able to make. But when you really put him against other quarterbacks pound for pound, is he that much better? I don't know if it's enough to put him in like an all-time 10, maybe all-time 25. Definitely.
I'd start to
like
hear that
10.
a little bit more.
All-time 25 for sure. I think with Super Bowl wins is tough to really put on a quarterback. It's just their lone success. Obviously, this season's a little different just because he had Travis Kelce and then a cast of characters around him. You know, he did more with less, I think, this season. So that's probably why some of those conversations are starting to be had, you know, similar to what McNabb did for so long. You know, some of the seasons that Brady had so much success, it was Gronk, and then, you know, a lot
Danny
of
Amendola.
wide receivers, right? So I think that's probably
Wes
where they're getting that. But for me, at this point, it's tough to say all-time top 10 for Patrick Mahomes, even if they get the win, just because it would depend on what the team did to get that win. If he absolutely lights it up, then, you know, let's look further into that. But I think he would have to kind of have the game of his life to make that a slam dunk for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Matt there. I feel like if he'd have to come out and have like a four and change and 4 touchdowns for me to put him in the conversation, because
his first Super Bowl win was not a great day.
No.
No.
And
don't get me wrong. When push came to shove and he needed to go down and score, he threw it together, which Brady did in a few of his Super Bowls, struggled for a while, and then was like, oh, wait, I have to play.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, he did not have a great Super Bowl that first.
I look at it from this standpoint. If you want to have the conversation about him being a top 10 all time, then you need to listen to my conversation on why Josh Allen is Phillip Rivers. And if you're not willing to listen to that conversation, I'm not willing to listen to yours about Patrick Mahomes being a top 10 quarterback yet, because
fair.
It's too early, according to to credible sources. Looking at you, student of the game, Kyle Nash, I'm staring right at you right now. So if you're not willing to listen to my conversation, then I'm not willing to listen to the Patrick Mahomes in the top 10 conversation because I feel like it's too early. You tell me this 6 more years down the road and he's got another Super Bowl on top of it and he's sitting at 3 and he's not really had a losing record and he's kind of always been in the playoffs, then we can cross that bridge. But if it's too early for one, it's too early for the other two.
That's fair. Yeah. I think I'm more hearing top 25 all time.
Sure.
I think, and maybe this is where you get the yes, is if the Chiefs win is he already going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Because I think that's maybe a different discussion.
Well, the thing is when you're talking top, I mean, keep in mind my top 25 all time still has like a contingency to it. It's like, it's still a small sample. I mean, I know he's done very well in this small sample, but if his career were to end at the end, like if he were to win one and walk away young, then I don't think he gets on even my 25 list. This is all based on him continuing.
It's on projection.
Right.
That's fair.
And with those projections, I don't think he has to win another one for me to, keep him there. But it's all kind of based on him continuing that. And I think if he were to just kind of dry up or, you start to have things where, like, say he goes to cash in or he gets traded somehow or something happens on a different team and then Andy winds up doing well with someone else. And you're like, oh, well, was it the system? And then I don't know. It just kind of becomes this like this argument, but it's based on him doing well for a while.
So next year when Andy Reid retires, if they win the Super Bowl and Eric Bieniemy takes over the team and he runs a shit offensive system and it's not as good as Andy Reid's and he finishes at like 500 and barely squeaks in the playoffs and we get that for the next 4 years, I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer because he has 2 Super Bowl rings. I think the reality of the situation is it's all going to depend on what the next step is for him 4 and 5 years down the road. Because like you said, he gets washed up. Better yet, he does something stupid in the next 3 years.
An interesting follow-up, and I know you're going to probably jump to Matt here. Matt can maybe answer this one. If Pat Mahomes, with his current career and you add a second Super Bowl ring, were a first ballot Hall of Famer, is Eli Manning a first ballot Hall of Famer?
As an Eagles fan, no, but I could be talked into Eli being first ballot.
I don't even know that Eli Manning should be a Hall of Famer, period.
I can see,
because if 2 Super Bowl rings get Pat in, then by definition that should push Eli in.
First ballot, I would say no, but I wouldn't. If he eventually got into the Hall of Fame, I wouldn't.
Here's the thing: I fully expect Eli Manning to get into the Hall of Fame. First off, he's a Manning. Second off, he won 2 Super Bowls
against Tom Brady.
He was also a 2-time Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah, which is absurd, by by the way.
I agree, but I'm saying when
both games.
Facts aside, but yeah, it's David Tyree should have been one of those for making the cat. Like
Mario Manningham in the second game should have.
Yeah, but Eli Manning. People forget that the first half of that play, Eli Manning was about as athletic as he's ever been to get out of trouble to make that throw downfield.
But
and in the second one, the throw to Manningham was all Eli Manning.
Yeah, I'll give him the second one. The first one was not, but the second one I want.
The fact that he has a 500 career record is the most.
But if that's anyone but David Tyree, wouldn't they just catch it with 2 hands?
Well, that's true too. But all right,
he only had one.
Let's go to the other side of the argument that I'm sure will make Matt and Sean feel a little bit more comfortable that we're talking about it. If the Eagles win, a lot gets talked about when you talk about front offices and general managers and things like that. But it's usually never in the positive. Usually it's when you're talking about stupid ownership and stupid GMs and people making poor decisions, and Jerry Jones won't shut the fuck up. But that's a whole separate battle for a different day.
More on that next year.
More on that in the off season. If the Eagles win, based on where they were 5 years ago and what's happened with the organization since then, and to put this team together and to get a Super Bowl win this year, when you can argue that this team arrived early, like I don't think anybody with outside of the city limits of Philadelphia, when you were sitting preseason, we're like, yeah, this is definitely a Super Bowl team. You know what I mean? Like and it's not discrediting what they've done and who they are, but I don't know that a lot of people would have put them here. But for this front office to do what they've done, is this one of the best organizational managing jobs over a few year span that has ever been? Matt, we'll go to you first. Mike, we'll get there. I see
I was gonna say I was gonna let the Eagles fans just roll with this after, but we'll splice them up.
Michael, lead us off, Mike. Then we'll let the Eagles fans go.
I know, because I was just gonna let them go because I don't want to interrupt them because they probably know a little bit more about what their front office has done more than the Bengal fan. All I ask is that if you win the Super Bowl, that there's a nice fruit basket sent to Nashville, Tennessee, as a thank you gift for AJ Brown. Because the hoodwinking shenanigans that you pulled to get him away from the goddamn Tennessee Titans.
Ridiculous.
That's what got this team here earlier than projections.
Certainly helped put them over the top for sure.
You went and got a number one wide receiver.
I'd like to thank whoever compared their draft pick to AJ Brown at the combine, and I'd like to thank that person.
Yeah, send them a fruit basket, send them something, a gift card to Amazon. I don't know. Send them something. Honestly, maybe a little earlier than expected, but when you go get a guy like AJ Brown, that puts you over the top. It puts you in a spot where you should be contending for perennial top 3 in your conference every year kind of things, especially because of the weapons that you have with him. So obviously big turnaround from the front office, and whomever was able to get AJ Brown for a bag of Twinkies and a ball boy that hasn't seen the field in Tennessee since. I mean, I think you have to say straight up, your front office just hoodwinked and shenanigan the entire league.
All right, Matt, we'll go to you.
Yeah, as a longtime believer in Howie Roseman and what he brings to the organization, not just, well, I should say not in the draft, because save for the past few years, he hasn't had the greatest track record in draft picks, but he's always been very good when it comes to managing the cap and keeping the well pretty full when it comes to draft picks, because he doesn't hit a lot of them. If you look at years past, the past couple of years, he's had some phenomenal drafts, and I think that goes to the cast that, they put around him. So I would say winning a Super Bowl this year after doing a complete teardown and rebuild in the years of 2019, the 2019-2020 season, where you had what you thought was a franchise quarterback, you traded him away, you ate that dead cap money, started fresh, and supported who the front office has always kind of been saying Jalen is our guy. So this year they went out and they proved that he is our guy, gave him the weapons that he would needed, like Mike alluded to, bringing in his best friend and one of the best wide receivers that was available in a trade at that time for, what turned out to be a first round pick that the Titans just absolutely shanked on. And so I would say that the front office deserves the flowers that they're getting in terms of all the conversations, because it wasn't so long ago that you heard Louis Riddick on Monday Night Football campaigning that he should be the GM for the Eagles, and that Howie Roseman was doing a terrible job because of the Carson Wentz situation. So, the long play of that, how they were able to come out of that and get the team to where they are that quickly, because we've seen teams lose a franchise quarterback and then just continue to take steps back. So I would say that the front office for the Eagles, as much as the players, as much as the coaching staff, is deserving of the success and where they are.
How about you, Sean?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is a front office, with Howie Roseman that's been, if nothing else, one of the most entertaining and aggressive front offices for a very long time. And the team since Andy Reid era, and even during it, has all. I mean, there's been ebbs and flows. I mean, just like it's the way of the business now, where talent goes out, talent comes in, as talent ages, and they've just always found Howie's always just kind of found a way, and it's usually working draft picks and working. He just seems to have a really great sense of what teams are desperate, what teams are giving up, what teams are panicking. and he seems to really kind of prey on that. And I don't know what his approach is in making trades and doing things like that. But when he gets a chance to turn one draft pick into 3, he does it. And when he gets a chance to, even if it's moving backwards and understanding that having that much draft capital it's not impossible to move down, to move farther up, and those kind of things. And Andy Reid in his organization, when he was there, used to do a lot of that as well. But it was, I think this particular team being ahead of schedule, I think was just kind of a changing of the guard. You look at like last year's draft, the year before, I think you were able to get some talent there that you maybe didn't expect you were going to get. And it's a lot of credit to the coaching staff and the front office to be able to recognize that. And you go, you know what, the youth is here. And so they went out, and it wasn't just getting veterans on offense like A.J. Brown. It was beefing up the defense with some leaders and making sure that, like people don't credit enough, choosing the right offensive tackle. And we had about 2 or 3 guys that were like, well, which ones are here, and being able to start building a team good enough that guys like Lane Johnson and Kelsey are like, you know what, maybe we won't retire yet. Like this team feels close. Like they wouldn't have stayed if this team didn't feel close. So I think Lane Johnson would have walked 2 years ago if he thought it was a complete rebuild. There's no reason for him to keep playing, half a season on one leg. So, he's proven enough. But to go out and then realize, like, you know what? Because people talk about the A.J. Brown maneuver, like the draft before, to make the move to jump the Giants to get Devontae Smith was probably just as integral in building the offense you're looking
Danny Dimes would kill for Devontae Smith.
He got Smith. Tony.
Who's now
Devontae Smith is an absolute stud. Especially as a compliment, as a pure route runner and just brilliant hands guy. And he's. I mean, it's an early career, but his ability at the point of the catch for his size is absolutely unreal. And that kid's going to be good for a really long time, and will probably be there even in the event that A.J. Brown isn't. But I think to jump on that and go get guys this draft and say, you know what, we're going to load now. I think that they get a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, it's like that great 1-2 punch in Dallas of Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Oh, son of a bitch!
Yeah, you don't want to break things like that.
Yeah, I would try to break that up, right? Only an idiot, only a complete moron.
And let's not forget, kids, that win or lose, the Eagles have a top 10 draft pick in the NFL draft in the offseason. So
that is true.
That kind of is just kind of what I alluded to earlier in terms of what Howie will do. Because like Sean said, he's not afraid to trade back. And if you already have a second first-round pick and the ability to bring on more, especially with some of the players on the defensive side of the ball likely leaving due to either contract or retirement, being able to reload what you already have with draft capital is imperative, and how he has set that team up.
With the draft capital they have, their first day picks, and even the large number of second day picks that they have, they fully have the ability. If they have a rookie they want to go get, they can move up. If they don't see anyone there, they can, and they think they can get a corner a few picks later, they can trade down. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's somebody on a roster somewhere that is screaming to get out. It's not impossible to use some of those picks to go get another, couple-year veteran that can just immediately plug in. So there's a lot of options.
Gardner Johnson for a 6th-round pick from the Saints. So, I mean, he certainly does his homework and brings in the right people to fit with what they have.
Which veteran doesn't want to be in their team anymore? Let's go with that. Let's play that game. Jalen Ramsey for like a 5th-round draft pick? Bring him in too? I mean, at this point, if you're just going to close your eyes and start picking things out,
I don't think there's very many. Anybody who's like mildly disgruntled, or any free agents, I don't think there's any out there that wouldn't want to play. This locker room looks fun. Sirianni looks fun, and win or lose, I think the free agent signing day is going to be a pretty exciting day.
I've talked about it. Like if you don't think that like that locker room and that coaching staff is somebody players want to play for, look at every fan for every fan base that isn't Philadelphia hates Nick Sirianni, and Philadelphia loves Nick Sirianni.
Well, that's everybody hates Philadelphia, but Philadelphia loves Philadelphia.
All right, but I mean, like, I think I
found my point. So at the end of your point, push it back here. I remember my other Howie Roseman point.
But like, I don't think like Doug Peterson like didn't have a personality that like fans around the league were like, man, this guy is hateable. You know what I mean? Like I don't think
he's a nice guy.
Nick
Exactly.
Sirianni would throw D batteries at Santa Claus with their fans.
Exactly.
Like, let's be real here. He
would
is
be in the pit with Phillies fan. Like
he
Phillies
is
fans,
he is Philly as Philly is. I mean,
Nick Sirianni throws batteries at Santa Claus. My first instinct is gonna be, well, what did Santa do?
exactly.
I mean, he's also one of the only coaches that's sitting there like hyping up the crowd, like in the middle of like a cutaway, in the middle of like the NFC title game, up by 35. He's like staring at the camera intensely, like because he knows it's on him. It's like other coaches are gonna be like, dude, get that camera the hell out of my face. Nick Sirianni's like, drink it in, motherfuckers. Let's go.
If you told me Nick Sirianni grew up in Fishtown, I would be like, yeah, I believe you.
You know what? That
100%.
tracks.
Great.
That tracks. He bagged groceries at Acme at 11. Like he lied about his age so he could bag groceries at Wawa or at Acme. Sean, what was your other point about Rosen?
I was building to this point, and then I lost it, and then I think I was still on Marvin Lewis in the back of my head.
That doesn't
lost
It happens. It happens at your age. You won't hold
But
it.
yeah, thanks. But I think the most impressive Howie Roseman and Eagles front office, like the thing people forget is they're only a few years removed from throwing a ton of money into a franchise quarterback that seemingly didn't work out. We're able to unload said quarterback, and somehow are not only not in cap peril, but are actually ahead of half the league in cap space. And the ability to maneuver picks and trades and swaps and contracts the way that they have, and kind of open up the ability to like use this rookie talent to like go sign big names, despite the money that they paid to Carson Wentz, who is only a few years off the roster, is absolutely one of the single best front office maneuvers that may have ever been pulled off.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to send a fruit basket to Jim Irsay too for that? I mean, here you go.
Yeah.
Like you'll pay how much of his contract?
Yeah. Here's a fruit
okay.
basket.
Give us a first round pick too.
Done.
And get all that.
Holy crap, man! The amount of teams that have bought in post.
I think Howie Roseman has dirt on everybody.
To Carson Wentz is just.
He has more dirt on the rest of the NFL.
Howie Roseman has a network that rivals Adam Schefter's. Like he's just got a network of like minions that just are like, all right, who do you want us to find dirt on?
I mean,
He's like,
literally, he is the John Heyman to Scott Boras, sending out an arson judge to the Giants tweet 3 minutes later. Oh, sorry about that. Didn't mean to hit send. He's a Yankee for $1 bajillion. It's like the exact same thing with like
it's the Netflix. Oh, we didn't mean. No, we're not going to do that. You can share your passwords, please.
I don't know what you're talking about. No,
that was just a joke. We were just kidding around. April Fool's comes early. Last thing before we get to our actual predictions for the game, we talked about Mahomes's legacy in the broad scheme if the Chiefs win, and not that he was a top 5 quarterback this year, but with Tom Brady retiring, I mean we're and Aaron Rodgers, he's going dark. He's going to a dark room for the next 2 weeks to figure out what he's doing. I'm sure there won't be ayahuasca in an IV to help him figure it out. But I feel like the deck is getting shuffled very much so in terms of the top quarterbacks in the league. With a win here, especially if he performs well given the injury and all of that. And maybe he already is, I don't know, in your ranking, but is Jalen Hurts a top 5 quarterback going into 2023 if he wins this game? And maybe even if they don't win, but that's the storyline we're playing off of. Mike, I'll start with you, then we'll let the Eagles fans go.
So what I will say here is the absolute stone lowest that I would have him win or lose is 7. And that's the absolute lowest that I would have him. And that's because if we're talking about his quarterback play in 2022, yeah, it's out of this world. But looking at 2023, you have to address what changes are made, what's different in the offense, things like that. I feel like this is too much of a hot button thing to press here. You tell me that he loses 2 or 3 offensive linemen in the offseason, and you're going to have a rookie and another guy and, a piece that you're not used to. He's probably going to be in the 6 to 7, 5, 6, 7 range. I mean, I feel like it's to me, it's Patrick, it's Josh Allen, it's insert Hurts, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar in some kind of order. I'm not saying that's my order. I'm just saying I feel like it's 1-2, even though I don't know that Josh Allen should be a clear-cut number 2, especially the way that he performed in the playoffs. But I think the way that the media will turn this is that it's a Patrick Mahomes and then everybody else, and then Josh Allen and then everybody else. I think you have to put him in that conversation. Like, you have to put Burrow, you have to put Herbert, you have to put Lamar, depending on where he ends up. Aaron Rodgers, if he comes back, just because of the sheer athleticism of being able to make throws that other human beings cannot. Especially if maybe he gets reconnected with Devontae Adams in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind
any
of
receiver.
Yeah. Anyone with a pulse.
Any receiver that can catch a football, that would help.
So, I mean, I feel like in the way too early 2023 quarterback rankings, the absolute lowest that I could see him being is a 6 or 7, like a win or lose. And I mean, that's him coming out and having a clanker and them losing by 10 and him just not looking great. I still don't think he falls that much, because I feel like after the top 7 or 8, I feel like there's a drop off to that middle of the pack. Like, he's leaps and bounds better than 2022 Russell Wilson. He's leaps and bounds better than
people who are leaps and bounds better than.
But I'm just
2022 Russell Wilson.
But I guarantee you, when we have this conversation in August, there will be people that'll have Russell Wilson in their top 10 because Sean Payton's the coach now, and he knows how to use great weapons. And it'll be some song and dance, even though he played like dog shit in 2022. So, yeah. I mean, hot dog water is hot dog water. I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, I feel like if he's not in your conversation to be a top 5 win or lose, I don't think you're looking at the stats the right way. So I think the lowest I would say that I could have him is 6 or 7. So, I mean, if the lowest I have him is there, then he's definitely in the conversation to be in the top 5 win or lose.
Sure. All right, Matt, what do you think?
Yeah, I think he's there, win or lose. Like Mike said, there's only a handful that, you know, if you're doing like a fantasy draft or anything and you get to quarterbacks, who are you going to take above him? And that's because of his ability to do things with his legs beyond just his ability to throw the football. So I think if he actually, you know, is leaned on to throw a little bit more in the Super Bowl and we see him make that, then it's kind of a no-brainer. He's in the top 5. If he struggles, then you can see him faltering a little bit. But I don't think outside of the top 5, despite what Chris Sims and Nick Wright will tell you, it's not just the system, and you can't just put Mac Jones in the Eagles offense and see them get the same level of success. I think that he's kind of proven this season that he's not just capable of making the throws, but I think there was some hesitancy last year. He didn't really have the receiving core that he had built that rapport with, that he had that trust with, you know, and who's to blame him? You know, Jalen Reagor can only do so much, I guess. So now that you give him his best friend and say, here's your guy, let's see what you can do, and he shows you what he can do, I think that he has earned that top 5 status.
I'll say this, Sean, before you give yours. If you are making a top 10 or a top 5 list and you are using Chris Sims as a basis for your argument,
didn't even have him in his top 40.
Stop it. Stop it, and literally stop it, because you could not be further from the target if you were shooting backwards. Chris Sims is an idiot. But Sean, your thoughts on Jalen Hurts?
Well, my thoughts on Chris Sims is that you're pretty spot on there. He's not in my top 40. But as far as Jalen Hurts in the discussion, I mean, to not, like you said, to not have him like somewhat, you know, close. And the question is, should he be, and will he be? Like, he should be in the top 5. You know, and if you're saying, you know, Matt brought up, there's a difference between like fantasy quarterbacks and like best NFL quarterbacks. Josh Allen's probably for me at the top of both lists, but that's just me. You can Phillip Rivers me all you want, but
Josh Allen is a athlete playing quarterback. He's not a quarterback playing quarterback.
That's fine. He's really good at being that athlete playing quarterback.
He also can't win in the playoffs. He is Phillip Rivers.
That's pretty much.
He is Phillip Rivers.
On, yeah, just the big game. And I think you're going to get a chance to see whether Jalen can. But, yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts is in a situation that's pretty ideal for everything. Do I 100% know that he would be just as successful in a different system? No, I don't know that. But he's not in a different system. So it's going to be one of those where you know, you would have to probably pay me a lot of money to say, because there's guys that are going to get that recognition right away, like Lamar Jackson, who's going to immediately be a talk of like, oh, he's top 3 quarterback. I don't think Lamar Jackson belongs ahead of Jalen Hurts at all. I don't
Not
see
right
it.
now.
I don't. Lamar Jackson
Again,
over
not
the
with
past 2
the
seasons has.
receiving cast he has.
I mean, Lamar Jackson has 4 or 5 mediocre days in a row, and then one outrageous 200-yard rushing day, 400-yard passing day to like pad the stats. But and maybe it's because it's the first time I've ever tried having him on a fantasy roster this season, and I got to actually track his progress, and I'm like, by the end of it, I'm like, it's showing him as like QB like 6 or 7, and I'm like, how? I'm losing games because of this guy, and then I look, and it's because 2 weeks he put up 50 points, and every other one's 15, and it's just like it's consistent mediocrity, and Jalen Hurts is not that guy right now. Jalen Hurts he's gonna run from, and to step up in the playoff games the way he has, and actually, he's using the run to set up the pass at times, but he's doing it well, and he's throwing accurate balls, and he's not giving things away. He's not making mistakes. So, yeah, I mean, that 5 to 8 range is a very realistic spot for him. I don't know. I mean, it's going to kill you up in Cincinnati, but if you were going to tell me, like, do you want Jalen Hurts in this system or Joe Burrow in that one, I'm going to have a hard time not taking Jalen Hurts.
That's fair. I mean, I think Jalen Hurts has to be in the discussion among the league's best. Like they are different quarterbacks. I know we talked. I know Matt. We talked on Student of the Game simulcast last week that Joe Burrow does things at the fundamental level maybe better than anybody in the league right now, and certainly better than his years. So I guess it depends to that question what you want from your quarterback, because I don't know that fundamentally your traditional quarterback. I think Burrow has that edge, but Hurts gives you maybe some different X factors. So
I think Burrow can make the throws that Jalen can't, but I think that Jalen in his system is put in that situation where he can choose to do otherwise if the throw that he doesn't feel comfortable taking isn't there, whereas Burrow probably isn't going to do that as much.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Jalen's been incredibly great all year at plan B, plan C, plan D. Like working his progressions has been it's been night and day from last year to this year. So
I'll tell you this, I would take either of them over what I currently have in Dallas. So if that means anything.
Yeah, that's all right. Jerry Jones is building for the future. Don't you worry.
Yeah, we're gonna get the Giants. Not only are they probably going to extend Danny Dimes in the offseason,
we can only hope.
The Cowboys probably going to extend Dak Prescott this offseason. So
we can only hope.
We got that to look forward to. All right, let's actually get to the predictions. We've worked our way through plenty of storylines around the game itself, but we looked at this Sunday again. Kickoff time 6:30. This one is on Fox, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's on TV. We know that.
I figured that was the one detail.
I know that because Greg Olson's doing the call, and he's
okay.
Fox.
All right, that'll be fine. That'll be fine. But from State Farm Stadium, Glendale, Arizona, the Eagles again a 1.5 point favorite at this point. That may change. I haven't seen it move in a couple of days, so maybe this one is locked in. I know the over/under number moved a half point from yesterday till today. It is currently sitting at 51. Mike, we'll start with you. What happens this Sunday?
Jake Elliott from downtown Phoenix. Eagles 27, Chiefs 24. They better grease the goddamn poles in Philly. And they better start playing Dancing on My Own, because you're going to fucking
evolution has the grease doesn't work.
Better hope it fucking rains then, because if not,
the people of Philadelphia have evolved.
Yeah. Jake Elliott from downtown for the win. 52 yards. Walk it off, boys.
Matt, go ahead.
I don't know if my blood pressure can handle that finish.
That's why I did that.
thinking
That's why I
about
did that to you. If you're gonna win, it's not gonna be like we won 31-10. Nope, you're gonna sweat this bitch out.
I mean, I'll take a win, I guess, but it'll take years off my life. I haven't picked against the Birds all season, and I'm not going to start now. So give me the Eagles to cover the spread. It's pretty much a pick 'em. They get started at what? Eagles -2.5, now down to 1.5. So I think the bettors are kind of all over the place with this too. So I'll take the Eagles minus the points. I'll take the over on that. I think we'll see a little bit more in terms of a need for the offense. I know the Eagles defense has kind of been what's won them the past 2 games so far. And I think the offense is what's going to come out and win this time. But that being said, I will give my Super Bowl MVP to Hassan Reddick on the defensive side.
Yeah, Mike, who do you got for MVP?
I think he said Jake Elliott.
Would you just go Elliott because he gets a game-winning kick?
No, because actually I think that this game is going to be won with the
Jake
run
Elliott,
game.
27 on 9 field goals.
Yeah.
God,
Jesus.
2 Miles Sanders touchdowns give him the MVP on the day.
Wow.
All right.
Wow.
I like it.
I guess whatever it takes, right?
Wow.
Sean, go ahead.
Wow. Gee, I don't know what I'm going to do here, guys. Look, I get it. I get talked to. I mean, whether it's the deli counter at Publix, whether it's at school, whether it's everywhere else. Like, oh man, well, they talk to me like, you think you're going to win, and I don't know if I should be worried, but it's the first time I can remember going into a championship round with a team from Philadelphia where I'm like, we should win because we're the better team. Like, it's like there's been so many times, either the Phillies this year against the Astros.
I would say the 08 Phillies is probably the last
5
time I
years
felt
ago,
that.
like 08 Phillies, it was still like one of those like, oh yeah, it's probably going to be close. Like I don't really recall a time where like I was this confident that like when you take from the top to the bottom of the roster, they have the edge at quarterback if Mahomes is healthy, and they clearly have the edge at tight end, but I don't know by how much. I mean, if Goddard was used in that same system at that kind of volume, he'd probably be just as effective. So I don't. Beyond that, I mean, the defense is leaps and bounds better than Kansas City, and so I don't really see a reason why, the Eagles shouldn't win. And they're like, well, and they always end with, well, hopefully it's a good game for you. I'm like, I don't want a good game. I'll take another one like last time. Just comfortable at halftime. I'm cool, but I'm going to go out on a bit of a limb here because I've been saying it's going to be close. I've been saying it's going to be close, and I just can't shake the feeling that it's not going to be. And I think that the defense comes up and makes some plays. I think an injured Mahomes is going to get rattled with that pass rush. There's just 4 hungry dogs coming at you at any given time. And Hassan Reddick's playing out of his mind. Not to mention Gardner Johnson should be back in that second. Like, even if you escape that rush and kind of make a move, like that secondary, Bradbury, what a signing that was. I just think Mahomes. It's hard to say with the teams Mahomes has played. I don't think he's seen a defense this good, and I'm gonna go out and say Eagles 34, Chiefs 20.
Joe Buck yourself.
I was between 17 and 24, so I split the difference. 14 points.
Yeah, look, I'm
that
not
an over and under 34-20. That'd be an over.
That'd be an over. Yeah, I think if you're gonna bet on this game at all, I think over is the smart play because I think it is, despite what my brother says. I think this game is going to be a little too close to.
Jalen Hurts throws for 3, runs for 1, MVP.
Oh, gross. I'm not going to pick the Eagles. I can't. And I've been thinking about
throws for 2, runs for 1.
Because I've been thinking about it. I'm like, okay, do I try the reverse jinx thing? But that hasn't worked in the playoffs. I think when I've picked against the Chiefs, they won. But I'm like, I can't bring myself to pick the Eagles. So I'd
like to remind you that 5 years ago, I predicted a Trey Burton passing touchdown in the Super Bowl.
I'd like to remind you can shut the hell up when I'm talking.
I predicted a split. Now, given I said he would have 2 touchdowns, one receiving, 1 passing, but I did predict a passing touchdown for Trey Burton.
Now,
That
Jim,
is on the
I thought I used up all my reverse jinx mojo on the TCU Michigan game, but then I got it right back with that San Fran Dallas one.
That is a disgusting act.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be close. I'm probably going to want to throw up as much as fans of these teams are, because I don't know if I can go through this again. But yeah, I'm going to go Kansas City. I'll go 31-28 because that'll definitely hit the over. I think it is. I do think it's going to be a close game because I think
well, it's scripted, so it has to be.
Well, of course. I mean, Aaron, why would Arian Foster lie about that? But yeah, I think the experience, the X factors of Mahomes and Kelsey are going to just be that little bit extra that they need to get the win. Devin and my MVP will be Mahomes. I'm not going to go that easy. I'll go Kelsey, which I guess is probably just as easy.
They are getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire back for the game. You could take that. Betting him for MVP, the odds on that have to be astounding.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a couple of seconds. I think that was one of the odds that I had pulled to look at the betting odds. But Devin says he's going with the Eagles, and he's going to take the over as well. Like I said, yeah, I think over is the smart play. If you're gonna put any money anywhere near this game, I think over is the smart play because I think that the teams are going to score. Like
Devin's also hoping that we don't destroy Philadelphia.
He does
just win, we destroy it. Lose,
probably destroy it. Like I think your odds of destruction are
just get the SWAT team ready now.
Yeah, just get it ready. National Guard is getting
win, lose, somehow tie. City's getting destroyed. Whatever.
But let's look at some
take down the traffic lights. Just take them down. Having no traffic lights is less dangerous.
You know what? Better prop bet. If the Chiefs get an extra down at some point in this game, like they did in the Cincinnati game, will Philly riot, win or lose before the game is over?
I wouldn't want to be on that officiating crew.
No. Got witness protection. They're moving out of the country. Like just brutal. Some of the props I did. I like this one. Like they have like the different point spreads. Like Eagles by 1-6 is plus 300. Chiefs by 1-6 plus 320. It expands obviously as it goes up. Eagles by 31-36 is plus 4,500. Chiefs for the same is plus 5,000.
What's plus 14?
Eagles 13-18 is plus 750.
That's not bad.
Chiefs by the same margin is plus 900. Eagles or Chiefs by 43 or more is plus 10,000.
I'm all in.
Bet on that. Eagles by 45.
Just put it in. First score method, field goal is plus 155. Touchdown is minus 210. Any other is plus 4,000.
Ooh, safety. Let's go.
Right, and it can happen. So if you're in those block pools, like I remember the year that happened in the Broncos Panthers one, and everybody's Super Bowl grid just went to hell in the first play.
Light it on fire.
I want a 9. Do I want a 9? I want a 9 and a 5. I want a 5 and
team
a 9.
to score first. Both teams are minus 115. Highest scoring half. First half is minus 115. Second half minus 110. Both halves the same as plus 2,000.
Interesting.
First score of the game, exact outcome: Eagles touchdown plus 170, Chiefs touchdown plus 190. Eagles or Chiefs field goal is plus 390. Eagles or Chiefs any other score is plus 5,000. Will the game go to overtime? Yes is plus 900. No is minus 2,900.
Oh, definitely going to overtime now. Fuck this. Let's script this motherfucker.
Right?
Well, that would help your Jake Elliott field goal.
Exactly.
Color of Gatorade poured
on.
Ooh,
it's my favorite.
Coach. Orange is plus 350. Yellow/lime/green
That's the
is
one.
plus 400. Blue is plus 400. Red plus 450. Clear or just plain water is plus 500.
I feel like there's only two colors to bet here. Green if you're
Green,
betting
red.
on Philadelphia, or red if you're betting on Kansas City. Because if you dump another color on your coach, you're a moron.
Yeah.
Purple is plus
Because
750.
they get it ready separately. Because there's always like an equipment manager's like, the Gatorade's ready.
Yeah.
You know, and you see it on the side like Gatorade's ready if you're ready. You know.
None is plus 1,000. And there has been a couple. I think most recently, I want to say the Ravens with Harbaugh, there wasn't a Gatorade.
Probably like a hard rule.
Probably hard. Don't do
I don't
it.
want my hair getting messed up.
Like,
Don't do it. Some of the ones on the national anthem. How long would the national anthem be? This is performed by Chris Stapleton. Over 2 minutes and 2 seconds is minus 135. Under 2 minutes and 2 seconds is plus 105.
Is that from the opening guitar riff, or is that from O?
I think it's from when the first note or word is sung. Like whatever
there will be
starts the song itself.
There will be a solid 5-second guitar at some point. He's a country music artist. Chris Stapleton. Country artist. There will be a solid. Oh, like there was a
I
solid.
always want to bet it, but I always try.
There will be a
assume,
solid guitar riff before.
I always assume the person singing it has bet it.
Yeah.
Like they rehearsed it. Yeah.
Will a word be forgotten or omitted in the national anthem? Yes, plus 450. No, minus 775.
That's a ridiculous bet.
I know, that's so dumb. Because like usually it's recorded, so why would you? At least as far as I'm aware, it's recorded.
That would have to be your best take. Would be with one mistake. You're like, I guess this is fine.
Yeah, we'll run with it. Nobody's gonna know. Nobody's gonna know.
It's at home of the grave. Just go with it.
Who will be shown first during the national anthem? A Chiefs player or staff minus 165. Eagles player or staff plus 125. This
Andy
one.
Reid.
When you're talking.
Can I just bet on Patrick Mahomes because the camera's not?
Well, they have
Is
some
Kelsey's
separate...
mom a possible bet?
Not that I saw, but they have some like separate ones for like separate players. So like between Mahomes and Hurts, Mahomes is minus 125, Hurts is 105.
Well, like who's shown the most or who's shown first?
Who's shown first out of like those two guys?
That's definitely Patrick Mahomes because there'll be a camera
I would not bet.
stuck on his prostate from the time he walks into fucking Phoenix.
Sound a little upset, Mike. Are you upset? You okay?
No, here's the thing. I like Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback. The problem is you guys are forgetting there's a really good quarterback on the other side. Like the media is literally like, it's the Patrick Mahomes show and everybody else is just invited. Like, I get it. He's a great quarterback, but there is another team playing here. Like Andy Reid is a storyline. The Kelsey brothers are a storyline. Like it doesn't have to be Patrick LeVon Mahomes with the ankle injury. Like I get it. It's the cute thing to talk about because he's coming off an injury, but like there are other storylines that are just as important. He doesn't have to be the only person you show on camera. And I know that's what they're going to do because they want him to be the face of the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Who will be shown first? Travis Kelce or AJ Brown? Kelce minus 180, AJ Brown plus 135. In terms of coaches, Andy Reid is minus 130. Nick Sirianni is even for that one.
Is that during the anthem or just at all during the coverage?
During the anthem. Those are all during the anthem.
So I was gonna say, I feel like Andy Reid, they'll show him walking in with a cheesesteak before the game starts like 3 times. So
yeah, Devin, I'm certainly happy that that there was not a lot of media coverage around Mahomes's douchey family for sure. And I think the city's gonna be fine. The city survived the first Eagles Super Bowl. I think they would survive.
Yeah, no, everybody's pretty tame. It was all like just like that chip on the shoulder just vanished, and everybody was like, "Oh, we're happy."
Yeah, I mean, like there's going to be some cars overturned. There'll be
a fire somewhere.
There's going to be some
fire. More at the parade than anything.
But yeah, I think overall this city will be fine. Halftime show. First, what will be the first song Rihanna sings? Don't Stop the Music plus 300. Diamonds plus 500. What's My Name plus 500. Stay or Umbrella is plus 600.
Umbrella's getting tossed in the middle.
She's not playing stay at all. That's
she's not playing Umbrella because Chris Brown might show up.
Oh boy. Lift Me Up or We Found Love is plus 700. Where Have You Been is plus 800. Higher, Needed Me or Work is plus 1500. Rude Boy plus 1600. Hate That I Love You is plus 2000. Unfaithful is plus 2500.
Half of these songs are like slow love ballads. I didn't know that
you just spoke Japanese to me. I have no idea what you said.
I didn't know that we were going to a love ballad in the middle of the Super Bowl. I'm sorry.
But,
I mean, I suppose. But
hey, fellas, I gotta run. I gotta get out of here. I just want to say, go Birds. I hope my prediction's right. I hope I undershot the difference. And don't you worry about that lack of experience. Don't forget that as far as the young guys go here, your Jalen Hurtses of the world. We got a couple Georgia Bulldogs on this roster. We got the Devontae Smiths. A lot of this youth has played in games equally as big their whole lives. We've got a lot of talent that's been successful at a lot of different levels. And we have a lot of veterans that have been eager to get to this point and have not been able to this point. And I think that sometimes usurps that kind of inexperience. So I think we're just fine. Sirianni's confident. He's angry at Andy Reid. There's every reason for us to come out firing. So everybody can find me at Sunshine State if they want to follow me or anything. But I really don't tweet, so I'm not a very exciting follow. So just follow me anyway because I'm great. And otherwise, you fellas enjoy the game, all right?
All right, Sean. I was glad having you on, and we'll talk to you later, man.
Go Birds.
Peace out. Go Birds.
All right. So thanks for Sean for jumping in there, and we'll keep working our way down through some of these other prop bets. Halftime show ratings: 101 million or under is minus 105. Over 101 million is plus 125. Let's see here. Who are the Super Bowl MVP mentioned first in his speech? Teammates minus 135, God plus 150, City plus 900, family or family members plus 1200, coach plus 1500, owner plus 3000.
I'll take City for $600.
Does not mention any of the above plus 1600.
I mean, I feel like if anybody from Philly wins, they're like, Philly, this is for you. Like I feel like City's a solid run there.
You go City first. I don't know.
I don't feel like Patrick Mahomes is gonna be like Kansas City. This is for you.
I don't know if it's Jalen Hurts. God might win that one.
True.
God might win. God might win with Hurts.
Hold on. Is there a way that someone could pick themselves like third person? Because I can see it right now. AJ Brown winning MVP.
Does not mention any of the above.
Okay. Because I can see it right now. AJ Brown like, I'd like to thank myself.
I'd like to thank my hands for being great.
You might thank Tennessee first.
I'd like to thank myself for getting the fuck out of Tennessee.
Thanks to the owner of Tennessee for trading me to a winning franchise.
I'd like to thank former teammate Ryan Tannehill for sucking wind long enough for me to get the hell out of there.
A couple more here. Will there be a score in the first minute of the game? Yes is plus 600. No, minus 1200. Will either kicker hit the upright or crossbar on a missed field goal or extra point?
Yes.
Yes is plus 350. No is minus 550.
Yes.
Well, you don't have Brett Maher who wouldn't even hit the end zone. Did you see him? Like he was at the Pro Bowl games and was still having problems. Get this man away from anything related to Dallas, please.
Just get him away from football for a couple weeks. Let him clear his mind.
Jerry Jones, of all the dumb things that he says, he did at least say that they are starting over at the kicker position. I'm like, good, because you literally you could actually have no kicker and get better. Result of the first coach's challenge play stands is at even. Play overturned is minus 130. Throwing it back to the Niners Ravens Super Bowl a few years ago. Will the power go out during the Super Bowl? Yes is plus 1600. No is minus 15,000.
They're not in New Orleans. Trust me. I've been in New Orleans a couple times. It's really easy for the power to go out there.
Will the single team record of 55 points be broken? Yes is plus 850. No is minus 2,500.
If it is, something horribly went wrong for somebody.
Here's some fun ones. How many beers will be sold at State Farm Stadium?
Over.
This is just
Under. People spend all their money on the tickets to get
right.
in.
120,000 beers or under is plus 105. Over 120,000 beers is minus 130. How are you keeping track of that? Like, I mean, I guess you just count how many you have left in the stadium after.
No, the sales. It'll just be
Based on sales.
That's
yeah.
true.
You just run
How many
your
hot
graph.
dogs will be sold at State Farm Stadium? 17,000 or under is minus 140. Over 17,000 is minus 110.
I feel like the under is the safe bet there. I feel like there's more food to eat.
Yeah, like beers
pizza,
I might go over.
Pizza, chicken tenders. Like there's different things. Like beer is just very basic because you can drink a Bud Light. I can drink a Corona. It goes as a beer. Like it's just
exactly. And the thing with like a hot dog is like if it's not like a dollar dog night, or if I'm not at a baseball stadium, like I'm not getting a hot dog at a sporting event.
Been to the last 12 out of the last 13 WrestleManias, all of them at football arenas, all of them selling hot dogs. 0 hot dogs consumed at WrestleMania.
Yeah, like I'm gonna get something else to eat at a sporting event.
Give me a pizza.
And lastly, who will win Super Bowl MVP from the Eagles? Jalen Hurts is plus 125. AJ Brown plus 1,600. Devontae Smith plus 2,800. Hassan Reddick, Miles Sanders also at plus 2,800. Dallas Goedert plus 6,500. And Darius Slay is plus 8,000. And for the Chiefs, Holmes is plus 135. Travis Kelce is plus 1,200. Chris Jones and Isaiah Pacheco is plus 5,000.
Pachenko.
Isaiah Plinko. Jerick McKinnon is plus 6,000. Valdez Scandling is plus 7,000.
Your money away.
Yeah. any of the McKinnon, Scantling at plus 7,000 or Juju Smith-Schuster at plus 7,500.
If you're gonna bet any of them, I'd like to sell you some oceanfront property in
Omaha,
Washington.
Yeah, I got a great beachfront property in Omaha that I'm willing to part with.
Yeah,
for pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, please feel free to come to our open house.
Yeah,
it's so bad.
Yeah, just brutal ones, but there's always some fun ones there.
Is there a line for CJ Gardner-Johnson to win MVP?
Not that I saw,
because I truly feel that if him or Slay pick Mahomes and run it back and they win, I think they win it like almost no matter what. Like a defensive score of any stature probably wins that person the award. Yeah, so I was just wondering if there was anything on anybody else from the secondary. Obviously, if this was like them playing like a solidified number one wide receiver, like if you knew Slay was going up against Stephon Diggs, like you could see where that would be. Oh, he has a legit chance of running one back. But with Mahomes basically throwing it to anybody wearing a red helmet, I mean, I don't necessarily know that he's going to be lined up on a certain individual the entire time.
Yeah. I didn't see anything in the site that I pulled these from. Didn't have any others besides these. But really, guys, that's gonna wrap it up as far as I'm concerned. Do either of you have anything else to add going towards the big game on Sunday? All right, Mikey B, let them know where they can follow you and everything that you're doing, and we're gonna get out of here.
Hell yeah. You can follow me on Twitter at They Call Me Burn, BERN, last 4 letters. You can listen to me do the 5 for Fighting podcast on Huddle Up Incorporated. Right here on this feed every week we talk about the National Hockey League. We just wrapped up the All-Star game. Jim's gonna get that one up hopefully today or tomorrow, so check that out.
It'll post sometime tomorrow,
so check that out in the feed after you listen to this if you haven't already. Also, you can listen to me talk about wrestling on the Take 3 Wrestling podcast, myself, Jim, and our good friend Joe Lopez. Obviously, we talked about it at the beginning, Ernest stepping away. Ernest is a valuable part of that show. We're going to miss him. But we're going to trudge on until he's able to make a return at 100%. So we'll get through that on Thursday without him. Also, me and Joe do a fun WWE ECW rewatch from Adam Lee to Zombie, a WWE ECW watch along. You can find that on any of your major podcast feeds. Guys, it was a lot of fun tonight. I'm upset that student of the game Kyle Nash is not here. So Kyle, whenever you hear this, I know Andy Reid gave you an answer about what his favorite cheesesteak was, or you were just too scared to ask him. Whichever one, I'm okay with. Just don't lie to your friends. Enjoy the game, guys. We'll see you soon.
Very good. Matt, how about you?
You can follow me. It's at Teaching to Acquire across all platforms. Try to stay pretty quiet during the games just because a lot of other Eagles fans annoy me when I'm on Twitter. So I don't tweet a ton during the game, but otherwise you can follow me on there. Starting in a few weeks, The Pitch will be coming to the Huddle Up Incorporated Network, where we talk all things soccer and baseball. That would be MLS Premier League. I'm going to start diving into some other leagues as well. So if there's specific coverage you're looking for, let me know. Unless it is La Liga, I refuse to watch it.
All right, we are looking
Go Birds.
We are looking forward to that. Devin, thanks for checking in with us, and everybody else that checked in with us throughout the broadcast. We certainly do appreciate that. We hope you enjoy the big game, no matter who you're rooting for, and whatever the outcome may be. We will certainly wrap it all up next week. It'll be our last live show of the season. Hard to believe that we are at that point of the year. But we certainly have made it. There will be an off-season program. We'll talk a little bit about that when we do go live next week to wrap up the entire season. But until then, make sure you are subscribed to the show on all podcast platforms. If whatever platform you follow us on and subscribe to us on gives the option to rate and review, please do that. That'll help us grow the show. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We would certainly appreciate that. This year's off-season program will be on the YouTube as well. So make sure you do not miss that. Get our merchandise over at tpublic.com and make sure you are following us on all of our social media at Huddle Up Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. And until next week, we hope you stay safe, stay smart, and as always, go for the win.